Ma'am comes here, I'll answer some of the questions which are there in the chat box. Well, one guy had asked like, what is open source? Well, open source means any application whose source code, right? It's open for everyone. That sort of stuff is called open source. And why everyone is going to open source these days is it will help you gain some experiences on how to actually contribute to real world application. That's why most of the students are diving into open source projects these days. Till ma'am, gets back to network connection and next week co-host, I'll be answering some questions. You can also ask questions based on yesterday's topic. I can also answer that.
Kamal, just a minute. I'll explain something.
Okay.
Okay, guys, at the end of the section, I will share you a task actually. So it's something like kind of a Word document. There will be some questions regarding on HTML, the basic contents, what you have learned yesterday and you're going to learn today. So you can search in it and you can answer those questions in a Word Google Doc, something like that. Okay. And also I'll share you a submission form link with it will be activate until tomorrow 2 o'clock. So you have to complete the task and you have to submit it into that Google form. You have to upload the file actually. So this is the thing. I think everyone got that right. Any doubt regarding that? Don't worry. So the questions will be very easy. You can search and you have to learn it from the net. It doesn't mean that copying and pasting it no, it's not good. Even though you can learn from it, right? So that's the thing. I think it's clear, right?
Yes, dear Rashmi, it's clear.
Okay. I think you can start, Kamal. What happened?
Well, I am not able to share my screen.
Okay, let me tell to ma'am.
Or else do one thing. I guess you can also change it. I guess. Like go to settings and allow participants to screen share.
Okay, let me check.
Okay, tell ma'am, join. Okay, I'm here, and I guess I can start sharing my screen now. Okay, so I'll just open the VS Code. Before that, we will just go through the concepts which we learned yesterday. I'll open the Firefox browser. I'll also open my Chrome browser. And I guess I'll go to this. And I'll go to the repository which I created yesterday. And I'll go over here because here I have given the list of topics. So yeah, yesterday we saw about the front end. What exactly is the front end, which means like whatever you see on the screen, right? That is the front end. And we also saw what is meant by backend. Backend means something that involves a server where the front end and the server will talk to each other using some language. And one such language is PHP and SQL. And we also saw what is HTML. We also saw what are tags. We also saw different types of tags. We also saw how to add some colors to an existing element, which basically means that we are styling it. We also saw the three types of CSS. Full form of CSS is cascading style sheets. We also saw how to open a page in a new tab. We also saw how to link documents, and we also saw how to host our the existing static code in GitHub. Like we went to settings and we went to pages, right? And we generated a link. Well, now if we go to that link, it is kind of active, so you can see the output also. So today's session will be we'll be exploring some more topics along with what we learned yesterday, because yesterday we just scratched the only surface of it. We didn't go that much in depth, so we'll explore some more topics in today's session. And if you have any doubts, feel free to stop me in between and ask your questions. Like yesterday, we had cloned the this repository in our system, so I'll just continue from there directly. So yesterday we were working on index.html, but before that, can one of you confirm that my screen is visible and if I'm audible? You can put it in the chat box. Oh, chat box is not enabled. So you can just unmute and ask, I guess. Jayroshni, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. May I know who was that? Like, I'm not able to see the participant list. So, okay. Okay, thank you for the confirmation. Is my screen visible?
Sir.
Okay, thank you for the confirmation. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue from yesterday's part. But before that, yesterday we learned external style sheet, right? So what we will do is whatever stylings we have over here, we'll just move it to that particular file. So I'm just gonna select it. I'm gonna cut it out, and I'm gonna open style.css, and I'm just gonna paste it over here. Okay. So yeah, I had just copied the content from style.css and I pasted it over in like whatever was there in style tag, I copied and pasted over there. So moving on to the today's thing, like here we saw like how to style each and every element separately. Like we styled body tag separately, we styled a div tag separately, but we also have a universal selector. Like for all the tags, you can apply some sort of a styling. To do that, what you can do is you can just give star. Star denotes everything which is all the HTML tags and elements. So what I actually want is I want everything to be in a box model. Like let us see the output of yesterday's code. But yeah, before that, I'll just open this in the. Yesterday I showed you how to execute, right? You have to open that particular folder where you have this. have to right click on the file and open with the browser. So yeah, yesterday's code works. Yeah, like the styling, even though if we moved to style.css, it worked because we had linked, right? So that is why it's working. So for all the elements which are present in the HTML, I want to apply one particular styling. Like I want to consider all the elements as boxes. So I'm just gonna give box, sizing, and I'm gonna give border box. So that so that the HTML is interpreted as boxes by the browser, like each and every element. So I'm just gonna do that. And like instead of having the content one below the other, right? It would be better if we can see the topics which we discussed in the left hand side, and if we click on that particular topic, we can see the content on the right hand side. So we'll be implementing that using multiple pages. Like yesterday we saw how to link it, right? Like when we clicked on Python, we were able to redirect to another web page, and when we clicked on the link, we were able to go to the next page. So we'll be implementing this particular concept to generate the output. In left hand side there will be topics.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, in left hand side we'll be having the topics, and in the right hand side we'll be having the content. So that is what I'm gonna do. So may I just know like please recording it. Man is here, I guess. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just gonna continue. Where was I? Like instead of having everything in one page, I want to split it so that if we click on that, we can see it. Like for example, if you go to Wikipedia and Wikipedia on English language, I guess. I'll just anything. Like I'll just click on that. Usually, what they have is they'll be having some table. So you can see this, right? If you click on it, you can go to some sort of content, right? So I'm gonna create something similar to this. Okay, not exactly this, something similar to this. So let's say they are allocating around 10% of the full screen, right, to create this, and they're allocating around 80% to show this, and the remaining to show all this content. The same thing, even I will be doing it. Okay, but in a simpler fashion so that you can understand. So yeah, before doing all those stuff, the left hand side, whatever you saw in that Wikipedia, right, that they call it as a sidebar. Like this particular thing in the left hand side, this they call it as sidebar. And whatever you see on the top, right, like this not logged in, talk, contributions, all these components together can be called as header of a web page. And if we go to the bottom, you can see that this page was last edited and text is available, all this stuff, right? The bottom part is called the footer of a web page. So yeah, so that was those concepts. Now let's try to create two different columns, and in the left hand side we'll be having the topics, and in the right hand side I will be having the concepts. So yeah, before that I'll go to index.html and I'll just scroll down. First we'll just list out the topics that we learned. We saw what is the HTML page, we saw what meta tags are, we also saw how to link a style sheet, and we also saw how to link to different sites, and we also saw how to give color to a specific div element. I'm just saying all this stuff because we will be doing that in this particular section. I'm just gonna brushing up on what you will learn. Now let's go on to the next topic. Like in yesterday's thing, we had this what is this projects, right? Like I know Python and Java, so I had shown these two items in the same line. But what if I want to list it out? What if I want to show it one below the other? Then at that time, what I can do is I can use the concepts of lists. In HTML, we have two types of lists: ordered list and unordered list. Like the name suggests, ordered list will have numbers or some sort of Roman numerals, something like this, and it will be or it can be just alphabets also. You can specify like what kind of styling you want using the attribute. So we'll do that. So in the languages part, what I'm going to do is first you will see the unordered list. To create an unordered list, the HTML tag is UL. I'll just zoom in a little bit. And I'll just close left hand side. And to create a list item, I will be using the li tag because in that particular list we want some content, right? So what I'll do is the yesterday's content, I'll just cut it out and I'll paste that in the list item, because we know that HTML tags can be nested. We also discussed that one yesterday. So I'll just create another list item inside the unordered list, and I'll just cut this item and paste it inside it. And if I go to the browser and refresh the page, you can see that whatever languages I had specified, it is listed out one below the other. And we also have a dot. So unordered list will be having a dot, but we also can style it so that the dot can be removed. So for that, what we can do is like we'll use inline CSS for only one item, right? So we'll just style, and what we're gonna do is we have to specify that we don't want any list styling, right? So what we'll do is we'll have to give list hyphen style hyphen type. So that I'll give it as none. So only for the first thing we won't be having the dot. So you can also decorate your page in this way. Like if you do not want the dot, you can specify it in the way which I showed. Like you can add the styling and you can do it. So I'll just remove this for now because we'll be adding all this stuff in a separate page. So I'm just adding it over here. So now let's try to create a sidebar. Okay, before all this stuff, let's try to create a sidebar, because in Wikipedia what they have done, they have a sidebar with some sort of links. So we'll create a sidebar. Okay, yeah. So I'll just create a div. So we'll create a division or a particular section, and I want to split the div into two, because left hand side there should be sidebar, right hand side there should be content. So I'll just create another div, because div can be used to create sections. And I'll also create another div for the content. So what I'll do is I'll add a class so that we can identify the two things differently, like class equal to sidebar. In this, we'll be having the sidebar content. And for this, let's add class equal to content itself. And in the content, what I'm going to do is whatever we saw yesterday, right? I'm just going to copy it. I'll just cut it out and I'll paste it inside the content. Now let's see like what kind of output we have before we proceed with the styling part. Like this is how we want the layout, but let's and in the sidebar content, let's say we have the home page. Here we will use a list. Let's use an unordered list just for starting purposes. /ul. Let's say we have a home page, and let's say we have a page which explains the list concept. Let's say we have a page which shows the images, like how to show images in a web page. Let's say we have a page which shows that, and like we'll be seeing all these topics today, so that is why I'm listing it out. And we will also see how to create tables in HTML. And in today's session, we'll also see how to create forms, simple HTML forms using HTML and CSS. So these are the topics which we'll be seeing today. And apart from this, most of the stuff we'll be doing in the CSS part. because HTML will just give the structure alone. But if you want to make the content presentable, you have to style it. So that's why we are using CSS. So let's see what sort of output we get. Just refresh it. So if you can see, I'm just getting content one after the other. But what I actually wanted was the content should be on the left. I mean, the whatever topics which I mentioned should be on the left and content should be on the right? So what I will do is I'll go to style sheet and I'll create a new styling for the sidebar, because I want sidebar to be on the left. To do that, we have a property called float, and you have to specify in which direction you want, whether you want it on the right or whether you want it in the center or whether you want it justified. I want it on the left, so what I'll do is I'll just give left, and I want it to occupy the 30% of the entire thing. It can be any number, but if you give 30%, it will look better, is what I felt. So I'll just give 30%. In the similar way, to identify which is the sidebar, I will give some background color. Let's give pink color, maybe because everything is green, so let's give pink. And same for the content as well. So I'll just now copy it, paste it, and for this it will be 70, because if the entire thing is 100 and you have taken 30% of this for sidebar, so remaining 70 would be for the content, right? So here I'll just give some other color other than pink, red. Okay, I'll give light blue. Okay, I have mentioned the size. Now let's see what sort of output we are getting. Now if you can see, I'm able to see the some sort of structure which I want, which is in the left hand side I wanted the sidebar, and in the right hand side I wanted the content. But in above we have all this stuff, so we'll be rectifying that. So in the index page, I'll have this content, like this will be in the right hand side, like right hand side in the sense like where you can see the languages known, right? There will be having. So I'll create a new file called list.html, and I'll just press enter. And what I'll do is whatever is present in index.html, I'll just copy it for now and I'll just paste it as it is. And in the list, I just want the list concept, like within the content, right? Because we are split into two, like this for the sidebar, the blue color thing, background thing, whatever you're saying, right? That is the content. So that should come, only that should be there in that particular page, nothing else. So what I will do is I'll remove the previous content. So we just have the sidebar and we'll have the content. So that will be our structure of our page, and the remaining stuff I'll remove it. So yeah, I'll also remove projects because we just want the sidebar and the content. So we have the sidebar, we have the content. Now let's see the output of list.html. So right click on the file, open with browser. I'll just zoom in a little bit. So if you can see, I got the sidebar and I also got the content. But if you can see, it's not extended to the bottom, right? Like if it is extended to the bottom only, it will look nice. And like if you see the Wikipedia's page, they have extended to the bottom. So we'll also do something similar. So what I will do is I'll go to style.css and specify the height. Like we had specified the width, right? Now I'll specify the height, and I'll just give a minimum height as like the sidebar minimum height should be around 600 pixels. Pixels are nothing but the smallest component in the screen. So I'll just do the same thing for content also, because this looks uneven, right? So to make it look even, I will just do that. So I have also extended in the same way, like how Wikipedia does. I remove this red color thing also. Red color thing we had done in section 1, so I'll just remove that. I'll just comment it out. No, I'll just remove that. Sorry. Yeah. Now let me refresh. Now it shows the green. Okay. Background color I'll just give light blue then. Yeah. So if I click on the list concept, this page should appear. But in the left hand side, if you can see, we have these dots. So we don't want those dots. So what I will do is, in the list.html, in the unordered list, like how what we did in index.html, in the style attribute, we had added one extra property, right? Same thing we can do using this thing itself. So I'll just create a new class called list. I'm just giving relevant names. Like this name can be anything. I'm just giving list so that it is relevant. And here I just mentioned list style type is none because I don't want the dot. So what I'll do is I'll apply it to the unordered list. So to apply that, all I have to do is I'll have to add a property or the attribute called class with the value, the name whatever I had given in the style.css. In the style.css, I had given list. So here also I'll give it as list. I'll save it. If I go to the output of list.html, the thing is gone. And I also want to change the title of the that particular page. The list concept, right? So I'll say add a relevant title. Don't worry, all this code will be shared to you in GitHub itself. Like if you go to day 1 and click on that, if you can see, if you click on the source code.zip, right, you can get the code whatever we did on day 1. In a similar way, I'll be adding for day 2 also. So you can download it from there. So don't worry about the code. That will be getting it. So yeah, we also saw how to remove this, the dots. Now let's try to link it. Like we'll do the same thing. First we'll complete in one page and we'll apply that to all the other pages. So I want this to be spaced out. Like I do not want all this stuff to be congested. Like let's say I wanted some space. So in most of the HTML stuff, what we have is we have a concept of the box model. Like if you open the developer tools in a browser, like if you just press F12, right, the developer tools will be getting. In the developer tools, if you see on the right hand side, right, we have something called the margin, we have something called the border, we have something called padding, and the light blue color box which you see is called the content area. So for each content, there is some padding. So for each content there is a border. By default, the border is transparent, and margin is the content around that particular border. Like you can see this light green color, right? So that is the that will be the margin for this particular sidebar or this particular div, which has the sidebar and the content. So this green color thing will be the margin for the sidebar and the content. So each HTML element will follow that. So let's try to make this somewhat better. So for that, what we will do is we'll add some styling. To do that, like for each list item, I want a styling. So now I cannot add styling to just a list class. So what I will do is I'll create a new class called list-item. in this style.css. So for each thing, let's say I want to give a padding of 20 pixels. If I just specify the padding, by default it means that for all the sides, like for the top, right, bottom and left, it has to apply 20 pixels. But let's say you want to apply for the all thing individually, like you can give 40, you can give 40 pixels, sorry, and you can give 30 pixels, and you can give maybe 15 pixels, just for example. And in this, the order will be this 20 pixels will be for the top, 40 pixels will be for the right, 30 pixels will be for the bottom, and 15 pixels will be for the left. So go in clockwise order: top, right, bottom, left. So I'll just add it in the comment, maybe top, right, bottom, left. And the other, if you give that's to mention for all the sides, what I did previously was I had given padding 20 pixels. So I'll just comment it out. Like I have to show you the output for this. Let's show you the output for 20 pixels. Refresh. Okay. Just try. Let me just try. Let me know if you guys are clear to this part. If you have any doubts, I will answer them. Okay, can you explain what is border box? Well, border boxes will inform the browser that whatever content you have specified, like given the styling as border box, should be considered as a box. Like think that everything is a box. Each element should be a box. By default, what HTML does is it will ignore everything and will go in one line, right? For yesterday's paragraph tag we saw, the content, like it doesn't matter if I give a new line so multiple times, it will just print in one line continuously. So to make everything into a box, we are giving that particular styling. In content, float right in content and left, yeah, that is also okay, it will work. Yes, we have given side to be float and left, and have given for content also. Yes, because if you take a stack of books, okay, let me give some other example. Yeah, I think stack of books will be in stack of books. One book will be in the bottom and another book will be on the top, right? In the same way, here also, like everything should be towards one particular side. But even if you give a right, it will work because the view is divided into 30 and 70, so it will work. See, it works. Any other questions? Okay, I guess there are no more questions. Yeah, padding you will be as adding padding will be using to give space around that content. Let's say we have these languages, right? And around these languages, like in the left hand side and in the top and in the bottom, let's say you want to give some space. Okay, so for that you'll be using padding. So in left hand side, how much space you want, you can specify using padding hyphen left. Like you can give padding hyphen left also. Like for each side you can mention specifically, like 1 pixel, padding hyphen right. But instead of doing all those stuff, you can just use padding and you can just specify for all the direction in using just one property. It's kind of like a shortcut actually. So what other questions do we have? Okay, margin. For okay, where is that list? See, for in this particular box, right? For the content box in pink color. So for that pink color box, this home page, list concept, images, and tables are the content. Okay. In a similar way, uh, for this blue color thing, languages, Kamal knows and all the stuff for the content for it. So like the around this pink color box, whatever we have right on the outer side, we have this green color box. That is the margin. For a given content, area outside of it is called the margin. Outside of the border, because each element will have a border, so outside of border only will be having the margin. Okay, so we'll proceed. We'll try to add some more styling and let's see if it works. Okay, we have given the color, we have given the height, but for content also let's try to give some padding then, because we have learned some new concepts, so we'll implement it. Refresh. See, it is adding up. Like previously, this used to be close to the pink color stuff. After I added the padding, it is giving the space. So that is how you do it. Now let's move on. Let's say for each list item, I want to give some space. So I'll just open the inspect element and check if there is some sort of space. Okay, I guess the padding property is not applied. What I will do is I'll close the developer tools. Okay, I had created the property, but I have not given it to any element. See, I have not applied the property. That is why I'm not getting it. So now I'll go and apply the property for all the list items. So that is how developer tool comes in handy. Like if you are not able to see the required output, you can just go to the developer tools by pressing F12 on your keyboard, and you can check in the bottom side, like what happened, like whether it is getting correctly or not. So like from this, I was able to see that I didn't apply the property for the list. So that's why I'm doing it over here. I'm going and applying it. Okay, now that I have applied the property, let me go to the browser and refresh the page. Now if you can see, the padding has been applied, but I guess I gave too much space, so I'll just reduce the padding to maybe 10, no 15. 10 or 15 would be fine, I guess. Yeah, this is fine. So like usually what happened, this is just a regular text, right? But what if I wanted to change some color, like to see that it is a separate option? What if I wanted to see it in different colors? So what I will do is for each list item, I'll give some color. Background hyphen color and maybe something. I'll just give the first thing. I'll just save it. Okay. It has applied for everything. Why? Add the list. Okay. What if I gave it 20? Guess it will still apply. So I guess I'll give it a margin then. Now we'll see the application of margin. I'll give a margin hyphen bottom. Like in the bottom, I want some margin of maybe 10 pixels or maybe 5 pixels would do. I'll save it. I'll refresh the page. And now if you can see, there's the space in between. So this is how we use margin. Like for only one direction, for bottom. And the top right, bottom left is applicable for margin also. Like if you want to apply all the properties at the same time, you can use the margin property like this, and you can apply it like 5px, 5px, like all in all the directions. I'm applying 5px. I'll come with the previous code. I'll refresh it. So in all the directions I had applied margin, so it looks like this. Now let's say if when I hover over this particular element, I want it to change some color. Okay, so for that what I can do is, that is a list item, right? Like this entire thing is a list item. So when we hover over the list item, it should change the color. So what I'm gonna do is list hyphen item. I'll give a colon and I'll give hover. This type of like when you do all this for while hovering effect and all those stuff, this we'll call this type of styling as a pseudo class. It is not exactly a class, but it will act like a class. So I'll give some colors. What like shall I give? I've given the background color as yellow, and I want the cursor to also change. Like now it's in this arrow pointer, right? I wanted to change it to some hand, so that's why I'm giving this. I'll refresh the page. Now when I hover over it, you can see that the mouse pointer has changed and the color is also changing. So if you're clear till this part, let me know in the chat box. Once show the code. Okay. What I did was, in the style thing, I had added the list item property with the hover effect. Like while it is hovering, I wanted to change the color. Like hover means when the mouse is on one particular HTML element, it has to do something. So for that I'm doing this using CSS. And for each list item I had given a different color, so that is why we are able to see it differently, like light pink and dark pink. So yeah, are there any more questions? Okay, I guess it's clear. Okay, then I'll proceed on to like linking it. Like if I click on this, nothing is happening because there is no anchor tag. So when I click on the home page, I want to go to this index page, like where this index.html, right? Like I want to go to this index.html. We'll come to this, changing the coloring stuff for this also. After we complete this list part. So when I click on the home page in list, I want to go to index page. So can someone put it in the chat box like which tag we will be using for that? Like to link to HTML pages, which tag we will use? Yeah, we will be using hyperlink reference. That's correct, Suresh. Yes, I will be using the A tag or the anchor tag. Yes, the answer is correct. Bharat, Ishwar, Darshini, and Geek, whoever it is, and Bogesh. So yeah, so we will be using anchor tag inside the list element.
24.
So whoever it is, please mute. So, yeah, unless you have doubt, please be on mute. So yeah, I will be using anchor tag inside a list element because we know that HTML tags can be nested. That is, in between one tag there can be another tag. Good example is this. Immediate example is this unordered list and list item. So I'll be adding an anchor tag, and within the anchor tag, like you guys said, you'll be adding a hyperlink reference, and here we'll use relative reference. So I'll just mention the index.html, and there should be some content right inside the anchor tag that will which we can click. So I'll just paste it. So now if you can see, I'll just save this for one item. We'll see first. I'll refresh it. Now if you can see, I can see that when there is a sort of a purplish color thing, and there is an underline. which means that it is a link. Like even in Wikipedia, like when I hover over it, I'm able to see underline. But if I am not hovering, there is no underline, right? So for that alone, what I will do is, like I do not want underline by default. By default, it has some underline, right? So I do not want that. So you can specify styling for that particular anchor tag. Like you can either give an inline CSS or you can give external CSS. But how to give a styling for that particular anchor tag which is present inside the list item alone? Because usually what it will do, we'll just specify anchor tag, right? But what this will do is this will apply for all the anchor tags, like throughout the page, like even for this languages known, it will apply for everything. But I just want to apply for that particular anchor tag which is present inside where is that list, which is present inside list item with the class list item. So for that, what I will do is in style.css, I just quickly remove this. In style.css, after the list item tag is declared or used, I'll add list item and I'll use a greater than symbol, and I'll specify the anchor tag. This means that this will refer to all the anchor tags which are present inside a element which has the class of list item. So for this, what I want is I do not want the underline. So to remove that underline, text hyphen decoration will be none because I do not want anything. So I'll save it. I'll go to the browser. When I refresh, you can see that the underline is gone. But when I hover over it, if I want what do you say, underline, like in the Wikipedia pages, right? What I can do is same text decoration solid, or maybe I guess solid only. No, I guess it's underline. Yeah. When I hover over it, if I want underline, I can just do this. Like in Wikipedia, that's what happens, right? Like when you hover over it only, we have the underline. So same stuff we have imitated. Like when I hover over this element also, because for all the list items, we are doing it, and not for specific anchor tag alone. So what I will do is I'll just list item hyphen. I'll just copy this and I'll just paste it at the bottom, because I do not want for the list item. I just want for the. But I guess anyway, if I do it, it will do the same stuff. So I guess I'll just remove it then. Fine. So yeah, I have to link all these pages. Like we'll be creating a separate file for tables. We'll be creating a separate file for forms. So yeah, like now that we have done the for the list concept. For the list concept, I don't think we need to specify any tag. So to specify an empty hyperlink reference, what we will do is we'll be adding a hashtag. That's it. Like amperlink href equals hash, because like we are there in the list page. So if I click on list concept, it should do nothing. Like it should not refresh the page and all. So for that only, I'm giving href as hash, and I'll close it, and I'll just cut it and paste it inside it. List concept. I'll refresh it. So now if I click on list concept, it is not refreshing. But if I go to home page, click on home page link, it is redirecting me to the link, the home page. So now what I'll do is the same. Like I'll copy the this div class equal to sidebar and content what I did to index.html. Like in index.html, we have the sidebar, but we do not have the classes, right? So I'll just quickly remove it. And for this, the content would be it would be languages known. I just remove that also. Should I remove it? Because languages known we have done. So I will just remove that. And even the projects, we can remove it. So yeah, like in the previous thing, we have okay, who is it? I'll remove this empty div and I'll go to list.html and I'll copy this sidebar, like this particular div, the content of that particular div. I'm just copying it. That is why it is important that you indent your code so that you can easily identify from which like within which tag you have what content. So that's how you have to indent it. Like you have to keep your code clean. Just copy it. I'll go to index.html. I'll paste it, and the content. I'll add the content which was previously present about myself. The content part. I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna paste the previous content. I'll go to the index page. I'll refresh it, and the same styling which was there in list is now applied to index also, and we are able to see the content. So yeah, but like I said, and if you are there in the home page, then we need not refresh the page. So I'll just give hash. Like in index.html, I'm giving hash, and to go to list concept, I'll just specify list.html. From index.html, I'm linking list. I'll just refresh it again. So if I click on list concept now, it will go to the that list.html. I'm going to homepage again. Now let's till this, if you are clear, just let me know like what I did, because next we'll be seeing how to show display an image. Okay, this is not the participant test. Should wait another. Well, currently I am not the co-host, I guess. Oh, I am the co-host. Okay. I'll just mute it now. Okay. So yeah, just let me know if you are clear till this, like what I did, like padding, linking. I'll just add a commit message that push. Okay. Actually, we saw that we had to give git space add space dot git space commit space hyphen m. We saw a list sidebar, like we learned list sidebar sliding float etc. Some relevant message, and to push it, just git push. So yeah, now if I go to the browser and go to my repository, the current code is now present in the GitHub repo. Like whatever I did till now, right? It is present over there. Like you can go to the style.css and see that all the code is available in that particular link. I'll just drop in the repository link for your reference. Everyone in the meeting. So yeah. So like I said in the list, the next concept is index. I mean, to show how to render images in HTML, like how to display an image. Well, for that, I don't have any specific image in my system. So what I will do is I'll go to browser and I'll search for some images, like some maybe random colors image. I'll go to images. Just pick any one image. Like I'll just pick this one. I'll open this image in new tab, and I'll just save it. I'll just name it as color.jpg, and I'll go to my file explorer because it is present in downloads.html. So I'll just cut it out, and I'll go to the folder where I have the project code, or the repository code, and I'll just paste it in the same folder. But this is not a recommended way, because if we have an image, the best practice would be to create a, what do you say, now we have the style.css also. All this stuff they're generally called as assets, or static content. So what I'll do is, maybe I'll just create a folder called static, and inside static I'm going to create a folder called image, img, and I'm going to create another folder called css. So I'm going to move the style.css into that css folder. In a similar way, I'll just move that particular image to the image folder. I have moved the CSS, but do you think the styling would be applied now? Well, let's go and check it out. Let me just refresh. Like I said, like you can see, all the stylings have been removed because we have not linked to the style sheet correctly. So we have to rectify that. Let's go to list.html, and in list or index, because in both we don't have the style sheet. So if you can see in the folder structure, we have static. Inside static we have CSS, and inside CSS we have style. So that is what we will do here also. We will be using relative reference, and we'll link it. So we'll be having a folder called like you can see the VS Code suggesting, right? You can just press enter, or you can just continue typing out. In static we have CSS, and CSS we have style.css. So for index.html we have linked. So what I will do is, I'll just copy it. I'll go to this.html, because it's the same style sheet, so I don't want to type it again, so I'm just pasting it. Now to verify if it works, I'll just refresh the page again. Index.html is working, and the list page is also working. So yeah, we have successfully linked the style sheet. Right now we have an image, right? So let's see how to link an image. So for that particular concept, what we will do is, we'll create another page. So I'll just copy index.html, and I'll just name it as image.html. Okay, and I'll change the title, title also, images in HTML, because we should have relevant titles and content, right? So, and I'll remove the previous content which was present. Okay, because we'll be adding content in the div which has the content tag. So to add an image, I'll just before that let us just give one heading, or to denote that what we are doing over here. Displaying images in HTML. Just a simple heading which will show us what we are doing. And now what we will do is, like if you have guessed, the tag will be img. And in img we'll be adding an attribute called src, which means the source, like where is the image. Here also we'll be adding the particular image through relative reference, like with respect to this image.html, where is this particular image. Like in image we have color.jpg, right? So inside static we have image, inside that color. So that's what we will do over here. Just press like VS Code will give you the suggestions, and just select it. That's it. You can also directly type it also. And similar to br tag, image is also an like img tag is also an empty tag. It doesn't have a closing statement. Only this is more than enough to display an image. Now let's check if we are getting the output. So we'll go to the folder where we have the image.html. We'll right click on that, and we'll open it with browser. And if you can see, we are able to see the image in the HTML using the image tag. So this is how you link it. But if I click on this, if I go to home page, okay, since I had copied index.html, the home page will have the hashtag. Yeah. So in image.html, I'm gonna link index.html, and for this particular thing, for image, I'll just add a empty href. Or better, like for that particular thing, we'll just leave it as it is. because in image, if you click on it, nothing should happen, right? So we just leave it as it is. Let's refresh and let's go to home page. From home page, I haven't linked, so I'll go to index.html, and index.html I have to link it. So I just cut this content and start typing the anchor tag. In anchor tag, we have to have the href, and in href we have image.html. We close it and save it. The same thing we have to do it in list.html also, because there also we have specified the images. So I'll just paste it, the same thing which I did in index.html, and like here we'll just leave it as it is. So let's see if all the pages are properly linked. Before that, I'll go to index.html and change maybe the title to homepage. Homepage index.html, something like this. I'll close all the other tabs and just have one empty tab just in case, and I'll just open the index.html. Okay, the index.html is shown correctly. Now if I click on list concept is working. From list concept, if I click on home page, I'm able to go to home page. From home page, if I click images, I'm able to see the images page. And from images, if I want to see the list concept, I'm able to see it. So all the pages are properly linked to each other. So if you are clear till this part, let me know in the chat box.
Kamal, I'm not a host, so you can share the feedback link.
Acha. Let me check the participant list. Okay. Can't be okay. All right. Feedback link. I guess it is present in over here. I'll just type it out then. I'll go to chat. Well, copy. Yes, that we did, Bogesh. Now I'll type in the feedback link. You can start filling it so that you can get the attendance for today. But we still have two more concepts, the tables and forms. So please stay on the call and we'll try to wind up by 7. Form start slash. Okay, this is some random value. I can't type it. Link not visible. Just a second, man. I'll just open my WhatsApp then. Right click. Copy link. Okay, I've shared the feedback form in the chat. Make sure to fill it for today's attendance. Okay, I'll just give you around like 5 minutes to, maybe 2 minutes to fill it. I'll send the form again and again so that all of you, if you fill it, will be getting it. So yeah. Consider this as a short break, like you can go have water, come back. We'll start at maybe 6:46. And then if you have any queries, feel free to ask in the chat box, or you can unmute and ask. Okay, I'll start with the tables concepts. As usual, we'll just create another file. But before that, let me just add it to GitHub quickly. So as usual, is this part there in 6 days we create a web about how the information. Yes, like we'll be creating a site where we can enter some values. Like if we enter in the form, it will get stored in the database, and whatever is stored in the database, you can fetch it and you can show it. So all the fetching stuff and inserting into the database, all those concepts we will teach you. And tomorrow's concept is about SQL, which is the structured query language, which is a language which is used to communicate with the database, like within the database itself. So for tomorrow's session, you can install the XAMPP. Like if you had gone through my setup stuff repository, we have a application called XAMPP. So for tomorrow's session, if you install that XAMPP, it would be better. And XAMPP and maybe like you can install XAMPP and if possible Postgres SQL and pgadmin for Windows users. If possible, you can install all three. For tomorrow's session, like whatever I added in the chat box, right? That's for tomorrow's session. We will be informing this in the group also, so don't worry about that. Let's get on with the topic. As usual, yeah. To inform Git that we have added some files, I'll just give git space add space dot. I'll commit those changes with saying like we learned what will we learn? We learned how to display images. And I'll just give git push. So code till this part it will be available in the repository now. If I refresh, the message is changed, right? So yeah, so that's how you can get it. Anyways, moving on to the tables concept. As usual, I'll just copy this list.html and call it at tables.html. I'll go to the title and change it to tables concept. And if we are linking it over here, for table we need not do anything. But if in list.html, what you have to do is we have to link it, right? Link all the other pages. So I will just cut it out, add a hyperlink reference to table.html and all the other files. Table.html. Paste it. I'll just copy it, save the file. I'll go to image.html because there also we have tables. I'm pasting it. The same way, I'll go to index.html. There also we have these tables. So I will paste it. And I guess that is it, like only in these three pages we have mentioned. So which are index. In index we have done. Image also we have done. In list also we have link. So let's go to the tables.html. So I'll just remove the previous content which was there inside the content part, and I'll add a new heading and maybe give it as tables concept in HTML. So yeah, if you have guessed already, the tag will be table only. Like most of them, the tag names are intuitive. And one key feature of HTML is this: whatever tag names we use, right? That will be given by the HTML only. Like we cannot add our own tags. That is not possible in HTML. You can do that in XML, which is extensible markup language. So yeah, we create a table using table tag, but doing this is not enough to create a proper table. So to create a table, first we need some table heading, right? So to create a table heading, we can do th head. But this th head is optional actually. You can create this using just the th tag alone inside one specific row. For that, let me just charge my laptop. Yeah. So first, to create a proper table heading, we have to create a row, because in table we'll be having rows and columns, right? Even the first like the part where you have all the columns, that is a row only. So to create a row in a particular table, we use the tr command. So we have created a row. Now we have to add the headings, the table headings. So we'll use the th tag. The difference between the th tag and we also do that using the td tag also. Like you can see the difference, like when I show the output. Like I'll just first will be having a serial number. And what shall we make it into table? Okay, I'll just create a table where which contains the books which I've read. So like each book will be part of some book series. So I'll just give this for now, and let's see the output. I'll refresh this page. If I click on tables, I should be able to go. And it says tables not found, because the file name is tables, not table. So simply what I can do is I can just rename it, because instead of changing all the multiple files, I can just change the file name. That would be much more better. I'll just refresh it again. And let me just zoom in a little bit. If you can see, it has like whatever we have given in th, that will be bold, and whatever we give in td, it will be like a normal content. So that's the difference between them. And if you noticed, we do not have any particular border, right? So what I will do is I will go to style.css, which is present inside static, and in that css I'll just mention like for table, for row, maybe even for heading td, or what else can we have? We also have tr, right? For all this, we need a border of 1 pixel, like maybe some. So I'll give maybe 3 pixels then. We want a solid border with some color. By default, I'll just give black. Let's see what happens now. Now, if you can see, inside for each thing, I have a border, but I do not want that. Like I want it to be like in a proper table. So what I will do is, yeah, I'll add another property called border hyphen collapse. Okay, sorry, collapse. I'll just save the style sheet. I'll refresh the page. Now, if you can see, it looks like a proper table heading. We'll add some more columns in this particular table. So to do that, what I will do is I'll go to table.html, and I'll add another. Since it's a table heading, I'll just change the td to th. I'll add another th with the book name, because it's a book series. Right? In that particular book series, what is the particular book? And since it is a series, it will be having an order. So book order number maybe, or maybe some proper element. Okay, I'll just give order of that book in the series. And let's add some content. After you create the first row, right, which has a heading, to create the body of the table, you have to use the t body tag, and just press enter. And as usual, you have to create a row first. Then only you can add the table data using the td tag. So first column is s number, so I'll just add 1. And I'll just copy this for now. And the second, I'll just have Harry Potter, because I've read that. And I'll just add a philosopher, maybe some other book in between. Chamber of Secrets. And that particular book is the second book in Harry Potter series, so I'll just add 2. Let's see if we are able to see the output. Yes, we're able to see the output. Let's try to give some padding, right? Because it looks congested, right? So let's try to add some padding for it so that it looks much more neater. Let's go to style.css. For table heading, let's add a proper color, like background color, or maybe just th. Background color. What shall we have? We have purple then, but will it look nice? I do not know. Red, orange. Okay, we'll give orange and see what happens. Okay, first one is an orange color, and I want it to be spaced. So what I'll give is I'll give a padding of 10 pixels, or maybe 5 pixels. Same way for this table entry, which is TD, I will give that. TD. Let's have some other background color. What shall we do? Let's check the options. Okay, let's give a pale green. And let's also give padding of 5 pixels for this also. I'll save it. I'll refresh the page. Now this looks somewhat neat. I'll just increase the padding and see if that makes much more space. Yeah, this looks somewhat neater. So this is how you style each that particular component using CSS. And this is how you add a particular. Let's add some more rows. So to do that, what I will do is I'll just copy this particular row and paste it around maybe multiple times. 2, 3. Okay, 3 times is more than enough for today's session. If you want, you can add some more rows. I'll add some proper values. I'll add another book series. Percy Jackson. And in that we have Titan's Curse. No, we also have Last Olympian. It's the 5th book. We're just adding some proper values in the this thing. Other than that, there's nothing else. We'll add some other book in the Harry Potter series. We'll add the 7th book. And let me go to the tables concept page and refresh it. So if you can see, whatever I have specified in the tr and td tag, I have I'm able to see the output in the page. So this is how you do it. This is how you add tables in HTML. So I'll just push it to GitHub as usual. We learned tables concept. JC push is not a command, that was a script which I had written to simplify the process. Just refresh. Yes, tables concept sits there. And I guess it is getting deployed also. Like after some time, if you visit the link, the same output you can see in that link also. The link which is given over here. It's getting deployed. Okay, it is deployed. Like let's click on the link. Let me click on tables. See, in that particular link where I have hosted in GitHub, I'm able to see the output. So even you can do that in your own repository. So if you're clear till this tables concept, let me know in the chat box. MySQLi. See, MySQL, Postgres, all those stuff. What they do is they just they're just tools where we can store some particular data. Both will function in a similar way. Like the commands are almost same. Like 95% of the commands are same in both of them. Just the here and there the syntax will change. When we will use git push main. We already did Abhiram, like we did git space add space dot, like in the previous stuff, and we had git space commit space hyphen m on the commit message, and after that we gave git space push. If you do that by default, whatever branch is there, it will get pushed to that, or you can also specify using the remote. So that's another way. Can we use p tag instead of th? Well, that's a very good question. I didn't explore that. Let's see what happens for Bogi's sake. Let's go over there. Let's see what happens. What happens if you use a p tag? Let's save it. Let's go to the page and refresh. Okay, whatever entry was there, that is treated as a normal text, and that is not included in the table. So that is what happens. And the last thing is empty because we had specified 4 columns, but since it is considered as a normal text, the remaining will have only 3 entries. So it is just showing the 3 values. Any other questions? Okay, I guess not. Let me see the participant count. Okay, we have 96 too. Okay, we'll try to quickly see the forms concept also because it's 7. So I thought of winding up the session by 7, but we have this last concept of forms which will be needed for linking the database on the 4th day. Like tomorrow I'll be teaching you guys the SQL part. Like I'll be teaching you how to run SQL queries, how to create a query, what is insert query, and stuff like that. So let's quickly see how we know the forms concept. I just as usual paste it, but I won't link it at this time because it's already time up. So you'll be getting the session recording, don't worry, but still I just wanted to wind up by 7, but it took some time. I'll go to the body of the content. I'll just change the heading to forms concept. Let's remove this particular table. And to create a form in HTML, if you have guessed, the command is, the tag name is form. And just press enter. By just doing this, you won't be getting a form. You have to specify, the what sort of stuff you want. To do that, we'll be using forms to get input, right? So we'll be using the input tag. Just doing this will not do anything, but let's see what it does. For this, I have to see the output. I have to go to the folder. I click on that, open the browser because I haven't linked. Okay, by default, it is providing a text value of the type. We have this attribute called type. By default, it is providing this particular attribute. Let's add another. Let's try to add label for this. Label. Because for each form, usually we should know now. The user should know what they are filling. So, what can we make them fill? We'll make them fill. Just say the name then, like label for equal to name, and I'll just close it. And in input, what I will do is I'll give name as name itself. Name is another. Okay, I'll do another thing. Username. Yeah, like whatever value we give in the value of name field, that you should mention in the label, and you should also mention what label you want. Like I want the label of username. I'll add a line break in between, and or else I can add the line break after the input itself. Let's see the output of it. So I'm getting the username. Sometimes what they if you have seen some forms, they would have added some grayish content over here, just to make sure what you are filling, right? So to do that, we have another attribute called placeholder, and you can give the placeholder text enter your and that will be shown in the form in the grayish format. You can also apply a padding to the form. So to quickly do that, what I will do is I'll go to style.css. For input, I'll just give a padding of maybe 10 pixels. Just to show that we can apply styling for input also. See, we are able to give styling. We are able to give the padding. So let me go to the forms of HTML. Let's see what other types we can get. What other types of input we can get. Let's try to get the user's age. As you know, the age will be a number, right? So let me change the label. And here also I have to change it because we should have relevant content. So we'll give whatever we put it inside the name, right? That will be like a variable. Like now, age will be a variable, username will be a variable. Like for what it will be a variable? Well, usually we use these forms to get the data and store in the database, right? While storing in the database, we should know like in what table, in what column we are storing. So it's for that only we are having all these variables. So this age, username, all this stuff will act as a variable. Since age should be a, like here I'll just change the place over to the text also. Age should be a number, right? So type, all I have to do is I just type number. I'll save it and I'll add a line break. Okay, it's already added. Let me go to the output page and refresh. Now if you can see, if I try to, it's allowing me to press alphabets. That should not happen. That you can do it using JavaScript, like you can validate. But I'm also able to type the numbers. And I can just increase it and decrease it. Like if I go keep on pressing, I'm able to get the negative values. All this stuff, like whenever you're coding, right, make sure that you are validating it. Like whatever input you're getting, it should be a proper input. That stuff you can do using JavaScript. But JavaScript is not the scope of this particular bootcamp. So if you want, I will be after this bootcamp, right? After all these 6 days, we'll be having the next set of events using Node.js, like how to create applications using Node.js and how to host it. That will be our next sessions, but that's for a later time. But for today's session, let's see the forms. Now that we have two form values, I'll just try to add one new input. Like type equal to, we'll try to create a submit button, and for that, like on that button we should have some text, right? So submit your details. And even for this you can apply styling, but I will not apply because we are running short of time. I'll create a line break over here and maybe another line break. And we also have an input type called reset. Type equal to reset, which will create a button for us. And we can also give some value for it. Reset your values. Just save it. And if I go over there and if I refresh, I'm able to see that. See, when I clicked on the submit, if you see the URL, I'm getting the question mark, your username equal to something. Like let me try to add some values. Let me add my name, my age, and let me submit. When I do that in the URL, if you can see, we are getting the username and the age. So this is how the the values are passed in the form. Like let me try to enter something and I'll just enter, and if I try to reset, it is getting resetted. So to know more on forms, you can visit the W3 School's website and know more about the types. Like we also have the radio button in sense like that will be used for male, female, and stuff like that. Like to select that. Okay, since we are running out of time, I'm just binding the session for today for forms over here. If possible, we will see the more forms types in tomorrow's session. Like after we learn SQL, right? We will continue with the forms tomorrow. So I'll just push this. Let me refresh. After age, let me add one more line break so that it will look neat. Yeah, this looks much more better. So I'll just add it to GitHub. Okay, and just to step by step, git space add space dot. We are informing Git that we have added some files or modified some files. Git space commit space -m. Now we are creating a checkpoint, like to know this is how we did. We are saving all the changes we have done. So what we did, we learned forms concept basics. We learned, and I'll just give git push. By default, we have a remote called origin and main. Origin will refer to the GitHub repository. Like this is what Abhiram was talking about in the chat. By default, this particular thing will be called as origin. And in origin, if you can see, we have this main branch. Same branch we have in our system also. So because usually you can have more than one branch, right? We saw that day also. Like we can have more than one branch. So yeah, you can specify in which branch you want to push. So I'm just specifying and pushing it. And if I go to GitHub and refresh, I can see that the forms concept is being uploaded. And it will get deployed after some time. Yeah, it has started the deployment part and it will get deployed. So I'll stop my, before that I'll just create a new release then, because if you want all the code for today separately, like if you want the code for day 1 separately, day 2 separately, what I will do is I'll just create a new release. Just draft a new release and I'll just give a new tag called day 2. Day 2. And there I'll just add some heading. Day 2 concepts. Like, can someone, instead of like what are the topics we saw today? We saw how to show images. We also saw how to create tables. We also saw how to create a simple sidebar and a content view. We also saw how to style various HTML elements such as tables, forms, divs, anchor tags, etc. We also saw how to create a simple form using HTML. So these are the concepts which we saw today, and tomorrow we'll be seeing about SQL. So now let's click on publish release. Okay, make sure you have a valid tag. Okay, use a tag day 2. Create a new tag day 2. Okay, so just publish it. So now if you go to the repository, you can see that I have added the day 2 parts. So now you can get the code for day 1 separately from, if you click on the assets part, you can click get the code for day 1 separately. And if you click on the assets for under the day 2, you can get the code for day 2 separately. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. Like, if you have any other questions, I'll be willing to take it up. Git will not push it to Google, Bogesh. Git will push it to GitHub account. Like, you'll be having your own GitHub account, right? Git will push it to that. Sir, can you paste a link of a GitHub? Yes, that particular thing which I did today, right? Well, I just paste it, but I guess I will share that in the group as well. Like whatever we did today. Let's border box. We have code. Okay. Any other queries you have, guys? Okay. Okay, then that's it for the. I hope you guys have filled the feedback form. If not, I'll just post it again. Make sure to fill the feedback form, guys, because that's important. Because that only will be getting a certificate at the end of the 6th day. Like after the 60 day, you'll be getting based on your attendance. So make sure to fill up the feedback form. And thanks for joining the session today. I hope you had attended the session yesterday, and I hope you liked it. The session recording will be shared soon in the group. Can we write the answers of task 1 on paper? It is up to you, Prithvi. Like you can either write on a paper and you can upload it. If not, you can, if you don't like writing, you can type it out and save it in a document. You're welcome, Balas Video. Thank you, Abhiram. Sir, in which group will the recording be posted? Well, if you are attending this meeting, you would have joined some group. Like you would have filled a form. That in the form only we had given a group link, and we also mailed the group link, and also the meeting details were shared in the mail. So please check your mail. They work well. Like we have 2 groups for this, so yeah. If you're not there in the group, so then like please see the poster, and in that poster we have like the contact numbers. Contact one of us. Like you can contact either me or Jay Roshni, and we'll look into that particular issue. And if you have any queries, feel free to post in the group, okay? Because that's it for today. So I'll be winding up over here. Thank you for joining, and have a nice day, everyone. And I'm ending the meeting for all. Thank you, guys.
Recording stopped.